Looking for a cross-platform Oracle schema conversion solution? Join us to learn about the new experience we are building in Azure Data Studio this week on Data Exposed. Hi, I'm Anna Hoffman, and welcome to this episode of Data Exposed. Today, I'm joined by Alexandra and Alexander, folks from the Azure Data team working on some exciting new stuff. Alexandra, she's a principal program manager. She's been on the show a lot recently, so you all are familiar with her. But Alexander, you're new to the show. Can you give us a brief introduction about what you do?
Yeah, I'm a developer here at Microsoft. I'm working on Compete Database migrations team alongside with Alexandra, and we're providing tools and services for our customers to help them move from Compete Database platform like Oracle, MySQL, and DB2 to the Microsoft SQL platform. And today we're going to present you something very interesting, so stay tuned.
Oh, yeah, stay tuned. We're going to be talking about some new experience in Azure Data Studio that I've never even seen before. It's called the Database Schema Conversion Toolkit, or DSCT. So, Alexandra, can you tell us a little bit about what this is and why you all are creating it?
Sure, definitely. So DSCT is the next version of conversion tooling for Compete Database platforms. It is an ADS extension that has the capability to run both on Linux as well as Windows. So it is a cross-platform product. On top of that, it has a really smooth integration with Visual Studio. So our developers who are looking into Compete migrations or conversions can easily have source control versioning and, of course, collaborate on the development of the migration projects.
Awesome, cool. And just to clarify before we get further into it, when you say compete migrations, you're talking about migrating heterogeneously. So things like Oracle, is that what that means?
Yes, that's definitely what it means. It's other database platforms as Oracle DB2, Sybase, MySQL, and so on to any of our targets in Azure SQL or Postgres or any of our targets. So this is what we define by the complete database experience. The extension itself, it targets Oracle to Azure SQL. And Alex is going to cover the details for those targets in the demo as well.
Awesome, cool. Well, I'm excited to learn about this. Again, I have not seen this before. So, Alexander, I just want to pass it to you. Can you show us what this is, how it works, anything?
Absolutely, Anna. Let's get into this. So as Alexander already mentioned, the new experience will be integrated into Azure Data Studio, which is our cross-platform database administrator helper tool where you can go connect to your databases, manipulate your database objects, create new drop and stuff like that. So we wanted really to integrate this experience into what DBAs are going to be using day in and day out. So with that, what we're demonstrating today is a set of extensions that we've built that will help customers to migrate their Compete databases like Oracle, for instance, and that's what we're presenting today, to our Microsoft SQL platform. And that includes SQL Server on premises, or you're running Azure SQL database, managed instance, or Synapse. All of that will be covered right from day one when we release this. And today I will demonstrate how to convert to the SQL Server, but the same experience applies to pretty much all of our targets. So the first thing you will have to do is obviously get Azure Data Studio installed and running. That's not super hard. You just go to download pages, download, and install it. Once you're there, you will have to install our extension, which is called Database Schema Conversion Toolkit. And today, as I mentioned, we're presenting Oracle to MS SQL. But keep in mind, we call it Toolkit for a reason. So there will be more to come. We will support different sources and different targets. And Alexander will cover that in a little bit more detail at the end after the demo. So for today's demo, we're focusing on Oracle to Microsoft SQL because this is our main target. So once you get this extension installed, it has some dependencies on other extensions, but you don't have to worry about it. It will bring in all the dependencies that are necessary and everything will be lined up for you. So just install this and you're good to go. The next step would be to go and connect to your Oracle server. This is, again, a new functionality that we are bringing in here into ADS that was not there before. As part of this experience, you will be able to connect to your Oracle databases and navigate through your objects. So here, for instance, I have my test Oracle 11g instance. I can go and see my schemas. I can go and see my objects within those schemas, and I can start converting right from here. The target of the conversion will be a set of scripts that you can later go on and deploy onto the SQL Server database or Azure SQL DB. But the experience will not be complete if you will have to switch tools. So what we're doing here is we're actually integrating with the SQL database projects, which are features that already exist in the Azure Data Studio. So first step you would need to do is go and create a new database project. For that, you navigate to database projects and click create new. Here it's fairly straightforward experience. You just give it a name. Let's call it a data exposed. And you specify location where you want that to be stored. So for the sake of the demo, we'll just go into one of my demo folders right here. Select this, and you select your target platform. As I mentioned, we support on-prem SQL servers, we support SQL DB, data warehouse, and managed instance, and all that. So we'll be able to choose all of that. So select target platform. For the sake of the demo, we'll just go latest and greatest on-premises SQL Server. So you create a new project. It may ask you to restart real quick, so it will reload the Azure Data Studio, get the workspace ready for you, get the project up and running. Once it loads up again, you will be able to go and proceed with the actual conversion experience, which I'll show you here in the brief. So here it is, ADS reloaded. You can see we have your project now. Let it load a little bit. There you go. And you see this is an empty project right now. And once again, this is your regular SQL project. You know, if you're familiar with our Visual Studio experience with SQL Server data tools, you can go and create database projects in there. This is exactly that same thing, just integrated into Azure Data Studio. So you can go ahead and use it without leaving your DBA environment right here and design your databases. For the sake of this demo, we're going to proceed with the actual migration of your database objects from Oracle. So we'll go and try to migrate my HR schema. All you have to do is basically right-click and say, I want to convert this to Microsoft SQL. You will be greeted with a wizard where you can further narrow down the selection of the objects you want to convert. I'll just go ahead with everything. Now you need to select your target database project, and this is where we're going to store the converted scripts so that then you can go and deploy them on a database of your choice. This is a new project. I don't have to write anything, but you can do that. And the last step is the configuration settings. We don't have a nice polished UI for that yet, but that's coming in the future, and we will cover that later after the demo. For now, we will provide you a scheme of the configuration file, and you can kind of tweak some of the conversion settings if you have to. For the sake of the demo, I don't need to tweak anything because our defaults are that good. Once you're done, it will start scripting the objects from the HR schema, and it will start converting them and translating them into T-SQL. This can take a while depending on the size of your schema and your network bandwidths and all that. Luckily for us, it happened pretty fast. And now you can go to your database project and see your HR schema converted right here. We have tables, we have procedures, we have sequences, so you can go and navigate through this. And keep in mind, this is already converted T-SQL that you can go and now deploy onto your target SQL Server database. Your departments table, we have the indexes covered and everything. As with any heterogeneous migration tool, there are obviously things that we may not be able to automatically convert for you. And in these cases, we will just produce what we call conversion errors and conversion warnings, which are pretty much places where you have to go and look into and see if what we produce automatically works for you in case of a warning, or go and do some manual work with the conversion in case of an error, right? For instance, we don't support conversion triggers yet, so we just produce a conversion error in here, and we comment out the original trigger statement so it's easier for you to work on it. Given that it's just a script file, you can go and modify it, translate it to whatever it will look like into SQL, remove a message, and you're good. Nice thing, since we're integrating into Azure Data Studio and it's built on top of VS Code, you get all the features of the proper IDE. You get IntelliSense support, which suggests you what keywords you can insert in certain places. You also get navigations across your errors. So for instance, you can see where the errors are, but you can also see all of them here in the problems window. And once you click on it, it will basically bring you right where the problem is, so you can quickly fix it, address it, and move forward. And from here now, once you polish out all errors, look at all the warnings, make sure everything is good. As I mentioned previously, this is your regular SQL database project. We're not introducing anything new just for the conversions. So from here, you can basically go and publish it to the real database, or you can just go and build it, which will basically generate a DAG pack for you. And that DAG pack can later be deployed onto pretty much any database of your choice, depending on which target you selected when you created a project. So here's your deck pack. You can grab it and you can go and deploy. For the sake of video, I'm not going to proceed with that, but this is pretty much a wrap of the experience that you will get in Azure Data Studio now, moving forward for the schema conversions from heterogeneous database platforms onto Microsoft SQL.
Awesome. Cool. This is really cool. And I like how easy it is to use and how it's building on what kind of already exists and what people may already be familiar with database projects. So that's pretty cool. I know this is like very new depending on when folks are watching this video. Are there current things like people should be aware of that you're either working on or things that are limiting when they use this new tool?
Right, this is a good question. So we are releasing it in public preview right now. We are obviously going to provide you support, and we are expecting your feedback to come through. But given that it's a preview, there are obviously limitations. And one of those you could already spot when I was doing the demo. We don't support conversion of all of the objects in the database, unfortunately, right now, but that's what we're actively working on improving. So for the public preview version, what we're going to support is pretty much basic table definitions with columns, indexes, constraints, including primary key, foreign keys, unique and check constraints, null, not null. All that will be covered. But more complicated objects like procedures, functions, and triggers and views, those will come a little bit later, and we'll discuss the roadmap in a bit. We also support conversion of sequences. We also support conversion of synonyms, and that's pretty much a wrap for a public preview release. But we do anticipate there will be a lot of feedback, and people will guide us towards what's the most interesting scenarios for them, so we can invest more in them and get that out to market real quick after the initial release.
Awesome. Cool. I mean, it seems like a great step, especially for folks that are using cross-platform. I see that as kind of like the biggest win for this tool. Alexandra, previously on our series, we've talked about SSMA, or SQL Server Migration Assistant. How does this stack compare to SSMA, and what are the scenarios that a customer might use this new tool DSCT for?
So definitely SSMA is still our main migration tool for enterprise customers and for complex migration scenarios where you would need to look at procedures, functions, triggers, and views. DSCT is actually closing the gap on one of our corner cases, which was cross-platform environment. So if you are running on Linux, and usually people coming from Oracle databases do run on Linux, and you are looking at the tool that could run on Linux, have a look at DSCT. As well as, are you a developer? If you are a developer and looking to integrate and collaborate on your project, on your conversion project, you can also leverage the features that DSCT has to offer. And I think there's a lot of richness in terms of source control and versioning as well there.
Awesome. Wonderful. And one final question as we kind of close out this episode. Can you give us a sneak peek at what the roadmap is?
Oh, definitely. This is just the beginning. So we are just getting started. We are trying to build an end-to-end experience for customers looking to leave Oracle behind. And in order to do that, there will be definitely other components that are going to be added. So we are looking at an extension pack that will allow you to do assessments as well as convert everything and basically do an end-to-end migration. Even more, we are looking at building other sources and incorporated other targets in the migration process. But we can talk more about it in a future episode of Data Exposed.
Awesome. Well, thanks so much both for coming on the show. This has been an exciting episode to see what's new in this great extension in Azure Data Studio. So I just want to thank you both for coming on the show. And to our viewers, I want to thank you for tuning in. Go check out this new tool. We'll put some guidance in the description for you to dive deeper and get hands on this new extension and tool. And leave us a comment and let us know what you think. And we hope to see you next time on Data Exposed.